Hello. It's been a minute since I've made an update. Um, I don't believe there was a meeting last week of the Warren County Library Board, but there was one on the 19th of February, and I watched it last night, which at this point is Thursday, or was Thursday. So I watched it on the 20th, and hopefully this video will be up by today, which is Friday, but who knows. Whew, a meeting has never gotten my blood pressure so high so quick. Let me tell you, that was that was something. And if you're following me on Blue Sky, you saw my reactions to it in live time. But I just want to say real quick that this video is just me reacting to that meeting and my interpretations of it, my thoughts of it, and my opinions on it. I am not meant to be like a factual reporter on this right now. I'm just on what I thought about this meeting because it was something. So it started off with the chair of the Warren County Library Board, Eric Belk, making his statement, which, again, since this is just me kind of saying my opinions on it, please go watch this meeting in full. The Royal Examiner has it on their YouTube page. It's an hour long. Maybe you get different things from it than I do. But if you want to be truly informed, please go watch it on your own. But he started with this statement about being open and transparent, but not allowing public comment, because the last time they had a meeting, he said the public comment devolved and people weren't acting appropriately. But it is like, sir, you didn't actually open a real public comment time. Like, you opened the floor to questions. So you opened yourself up to that. And you're not having a structured public comment time like how Board of Supervisors meetings or other Library Board of Trustees meetings have, like a 30 to 60 minute time limit of public comment that people like sign up for. Like, you could do that. It doesn't have to be like raise your hand and say something. Like, you could do a public comment time where people can come say their remarks. You don't necessarily have to respond to them. So they're not doing that. He said you can just email us and we'll address those things. But they're supposed to be transparent. And also, one of the things he keeps saying, he said it in the meeting last night, that all of the comments that they are getting in their email are being received in the spirit in which they are given. I have never heard a more condescending man. I hate that statement. I emailed them a couple weeks ago and I was told that my comments were respectful, and I was just kind of like, thanks. Like, people can be passionate about this. People are angry, rightfully so. Don't do that. Anyway, okay, that was just on the opening statement. Then they approved their mission statement and all of that, and talked about governance, and it's governance over the taxpayer money. But then Vicky Cook goes and says part of our mission is to assess all of this stuff, and I kind of paused and I was like, I thought that was your whole vision, or your whole mission, because you keep saying all you're here to do is to oversee financials and taxpayer money. And I know it's probably just her speaking, but I'm like, part of your mission? What's the other part of your mission? Please tell me. I want to know. They went in on talking about some of the statistics that Samuels had at the last Board of Supervisors meeting, or at the Board of Supervisors meeting that they were last at. And they were questioning it, and this is where my blood pressure just went right up. Because they had 127,000 visitors in the first half of the fiscal year. And they were like, well, is that individual people, or could that be one person walking in 127,000 times? Why does it matter? It's 127,000 visitors walking through the door in a 6-month time period. That's a lot of people. And then they're talking about, and 16,000 people are card holders. How can we make that more? And all of those visitors aren't necessarily card holders. They don't have to be. It's a public library. Anybody can walk through the doors. That is the term, public. You don't have to have a card or a membership to go into the building. That is, in fact, the point. But if you do want more people to use the library, fund them. Support them. Don't question their every move like you're doing. Dean Jacks also, he was making me real angry last night, was also saying, like, they have all these great programs. How can we make them do more and be more efficient with the money they get? I'm sorry. They're the Virginia Library of the Year. And you want them to do more? More? Like, don't get me wrong. I would love for libraries to be able to do all that they want to do. And love for them to be able to do everything. But here's the problem. Libraries are already treated as like a catch-all for all of the social services that are needed in a community. Libraries are not built for that, and library staff are not necessarily trained for that. We aren't social workers, nor are we people that can run ourselves ragged. Like, they do great work. They don't need to be doing more, especially with less. You want them to do more? Fund them more. Get them more staff. Get them more training. And support them. Don't try to look into every little budget line item and see where can we cut this. Like their salaries, because that was also a talking point with not seeing like individual salaries. And Dean again goes like, well, if this position can make $50 an hour. And I know it's just an example that he's using. I know 50 was a nice round number that got in his head. But if you think that any library staff in a small town is making anywhere close to $50 an hour, you are sorely wrong. That is laughable. Laughable. $50 an hour is like a top end of a branch manager position or like a mid branch manager position in like a suburban metropolitan area. That is not a salary you are going to find in Front Royal, Virginia, working in libraries. People do not work in libraries because it's a moneymaker. I would know. Anyway, this Saturday, the 22nd, Samuels is having another Q&A public forum at 11 a.m. And then on Tuesday, February 25th, they are presenting their budget to the Board of Supervisors. And it's their budget proposal. It's what they ask for. They don't necessarily get it. It's just what they're requesting. And people are like, they're like, well, why are they asking for this? And I'm like, maybe you'll find out at their budget proposal. They are asking for a 16% increase in their budget because, as Vicky Cook explained, they've been level funded for the last 3 years. They haven't gotten an increase. They've been given the same, it's like slightly over $1 million for the last 3 years. And Dean Jacks even asked, well, does this account for inflation? No, it hasn't accounted for inflation. So maybe that's why they're asking for a 16% increase this year. And Vicky Cook went on to say that because the library is funded by discretionary funds, it's really not a priority. Which we knew that already, and that's sadly the case in a lot of places, is that it's social services and library services and community services are not priorities in the government. It's not the police, it's not the military, and then Schools are a thing that do get funded, thankfully, for now. But they fall behind. So yeah, I don't question why they're asking for a 16% increase. Most of it seems to be for salaries. How dare we pay our librarians more? So yeah, those are kind of my jumbled thoughts on that meeting. Show up to these meetings when you can. If you can't show up to these meetings, email these people. Say things on social media. If you have any sort of platform, talk about libraries. Follow the American Library Association, Every Library, PEN America, Defense of Democracy, the Freedom to Read Project, all of these places that have resources for fighting this kind of stuff. Because again, it can happen anywhere. In recent news, there's some bills in both of Iowa's House and Senate legislators targeting libraries and librarians. Indiana just pooled funding for the Imagination Library, Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. So there's a lot of things going on, and we need to be aware of them and speak out against them if we can.